Hello everybody, I am Petty Officer Enfield and today I'm here to talk about the Coast Guard and all the wonderful adventures and things you can do. So I just want to start out and say thank you so much for letting me be here and talk. When I was your age, I was in Girl Scouts. I got to do it with my best friend. We got little stashes and we got to add the badges when we hit our little milestones, and her brother was in Boy Scouts, so it was such a wonderful opportunity, and thank you so much for letting me be here and speaking. So, like I said, I am Petty Officer Enfield. I am the United States Coast Guard. I have been in for 6 years, going on 7 in January. 6 years have come and gone so fast. Every day opens up a new door in the Coast Guard. There's adventure, there's training opportunities, and there's so much you get to do while you're in the Coast Guard. And it makes time go by so fast. And, I think to myself, next thing you know, I'm going to be at 20 years ready to retire, and I'm going to be crying because I'm going to be so sad. I'm missing everything and all the people I've met along the way. But that's one of the coolest things about the Coast Guard is all the things you get to do. So one of the adventures you get to do is called port calls. If you don't know what a port call is when you get to go to a place when you dock one of the cutters, and it could be stateside or most of the times it could be in a foreign country. Unfortunately, I have never been able to do a port call. I have never been on a cutter. I've had opportunities where I've almost been able to do like a short stint on a cutter, but unfortunately I was pulled other ways, so I've never been able to do that. I have heard so many different stories about port calls in the Coast Guard. They're always such a good time. You get to just hang out with everybody and you get to explore whatever country you're in. One of my friends, he went to Japan, and he was telling me how he got to see some of like the most iconic places in Japan. And one of my favorite things is he went to a sushi restaurant, and I love sushi, and they were like on conveyor belts, and I know they have that in the United States, but just because it's in Japan, it was just so much cooler to me for some reason. And I got to see all the pictures of Japan, and he did so many other port calls after that. He was underway for a couple months and did so many fun things when he did it. Another thing is, I know you might have saw it on TikTok about Coast Guard people being able to jump off the boats and swim in the water depending on where they're at. I would love to do that. I love swimming. So that's one of the cool things you get to do is jump off and go swimming on the boats. And they have people up top where they're looking for sharks, and they let you know if there's sharks and stuff in the water, which is kind of scary thinking about sharks are in the water, but when you go to the beach, they're there too. So another thing is, the misconception about the Coast Guard is that we're just stateside and just on the coast. A lot of people think that, and like I just said, we do port calls, so yeah, we go all over the world. And some people don't know is the Coast Guard actually has people stationed in different countries. Right now, we have about maybe 120 members that are stationed in foreign countries. That could be like Japan, some Europe countries, and things like that. And I think that's one of the coolest opportunities, and I would love to be in one of those billets where I am stationed overseas, and hopefully that will be something for me. And when they're overseas, they get to immerse yourselves in that culture and go on adventures in that country, which I just think is so amazing. Another thing that I love about the Coast Guard is the training opportunities. The training opportunities in the Coast Guard are by far so amazing. I have done some really cool training. My favorite training was when I was in non-rate and I went to Dunker School. And I don't know if anyone in here has a family member that is in the Coast Guard or have heard of Dunker School, but it is this place you go to in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. It's like a really big air station, and they have a huge pool, super deep. It's honestly a little over like stimulating when you see it because it is crazy how deep it is. And they have a simulator that makes the water go like this. It's wavy. It's mimicking the sea and some of the conditions we could be out in when we get underway. And another thing they have there is they have shells of some of our boats. And if you're thinking like me, you're like, what do they use that for? Well, they put it in the water, you get in, you strap in, and they simulate you flipping over in the boat, which was so scary. And yes, it is scary, but once you do it the first time, you're like, this is the coolest thing. And they do that so you're always prepared when you go in a boat, because that's one of our missions, is patrolling, different water areas. And that experience I had was it was almost probably 6 years ago, because it was in the beginning of my career, and it's something I have never forgotten. And that's just one of the training opportunities you can go to, and it's just so amazing you have opportunities like that. They have law enforcement trainings, they have intelligence trainings. Some of my friends have gone to a training out in Arizona where you're working with a 3-letter agency and going through their vigorous screening process and everything they're doing over there, and it's so amazing. The Coast Guard just offers a lot of different opportunities, and I am so happy I've been able to take them and have gone on adventures. Even though I haven't gone on a crazy port call yet, I'm so excited to see where the Coast Guard can take me, because there's so many adventures in the Coast Guard, and it's definitely a wild experience. But again, thank you guys for letting me talking. You have been an amazing little crowd, and thank you. Have a good day.